Hello everybody, this is Dandy with KeySmash Studios, and welcome back to another devlog for our space game, a potentially crappy space game, but potentially not. We're excited to get into it. We're going to start right off with talking about some of the coding things we worked on this week, and one of the first things is we worked on gravity on slopes and platforms that aren't obviously flat, sloped platforms, terrain, anything. So after doing a brunt of the work on the character's controller and the camera controllers over the past few cycles, we decided to work on some of the more nuanced details within the character controller for this cycle. Primarily, our focus was on refining the existing values and getting the feel of the character controller just right. However, we did have a major addition this cycle as well, and we managed to add physics to the slopes, like I mentioned. So the player interacts with angled walls and terrain correctly. This had to be done for a number of reasons, but first and foremost, it was to limit the exploration of areas that we didn't want the player to get, and it would help us create natural boundaries for our levels. So the way it works is when a player lands on a slope that's too steep for them to logically walk up and climb, we detect that and a call is made forcing the player to slide all the way back down that slope until they are standing on something that isn't too steep for them to climb. Additionally, the script stops the player from jumping if they're on that slope, if the slope is too steep, and it's just another way of keeping players from jumping back and forth between edges or gaming the system to get places that we don't want them to go, like out of the map. The next thing we worked on were resources. So this cycle we started creating the functionality of collectible resources as well. And its current primary focus is trees, being able to collect wood and things like that, but the script uses a public reference, so we can quickly swap out the model to be a different type of resource as required in each spawn zone throughout the game as the game grows. The spawners are also made to be dynamic in a way that allows us to control the range, the minimum number of resources, and the maximum number of resources within the spawning. This is just so that we can dynamically adjust the zone to each level and each section within the level based on geographic needs and the design of the area. Finally, the spawners keep track of how many objects are within the volumetric zone, and it'll respawn resources based on what's needed and what's missing. After that, we went into working on AI, actually. We very quickly established the code for some ambient patrolling AI. This AI doesn't interact with the player, but it still adds some ambience to the environment of the game, and it's something that an empty world was just lacking any moving parts. The model and the animation are completely temporary and are bound to change once the design of the AI is finished, thus why you'll only see some random blocks moving, as this was more about setting up the code for the patrolling AI. As you can see, the blocks there move between 3 points, and as we make more of these, we'll randomize the points and have a larger array of potential waypoints to make their roaming seem a little more authentic, a little more natural. We also did some modeling work this week, which was wonderful during this cycle more so, and we began the process of making some of the supplementary models we needed for several of our levels. As we discussed last time, we started a document to keep track of models that were needed and the progress of making those models. As always, if you want this information, you can find a link to all of our documentation in the description below the video, but it'll be like that for every video. But for this cycle, we can showcase that we made some mushrooms for some of the caves within our level. We also plan on doing an entire cave level, so we can reuse some of these assets there as well when we start working on it. Within Blender, one thing that we made sure to do was keep the parts of these models separate so that we can pull them apart and rotate them in Unity, allowing us to generate a lot of different angles and looks from the same model. So we can essentially use one model over and over again, but it'll look slightly different instead of just the same copy and pasted thing. Additionally, we also made some stalactites and stalagmites that we can use to add depth and detailing to our caves. This will help us really sell the vibe of being underground, which will be an important feeling for us to capture in a space game. Again, we added multiple different models so that we can have a variance and different styles throughout our different cave systems. The last set of models we worked on this cycle were a set of cliff overhangs. These are landscape details that we plan to add to the main overlevel, specifically in the canyon level. Having environmental models is important while building levels, as they really sell the uniqueness of each area. If each level has its own unique feel, that will work to help with the sense of progression within a level as you move past things you've never seen before instead of things always looking the same. So let's talk about the level progress. Let's talk about some of the progress we've made this cycle. We worked on the canyon level, and we've created the foundation of a branch that we're calling the Bone Canyon. The largest feature here is an old carcass that takes up a majority of the canyon itself. Thematically, we want different branches of the level to feel unique and exciting to explore. Later on, we will create titles and display those as you're entering the different areas, but you know, we don't have that in there quite yet. Again, this does help to create a sense of progression though within the level. As you see the new name of a zone fall before your head, you know that you've moved from zone A to zone B, and people like to see that. Outside of the entire game-wide progression, having a feeling of completion within each level is important, and that's also something we're taking into account and working on as we flushed out these levels. As well, we have established some of the large cave systems within the level, so this is done, grouped together, and tagged so that we can add the ambient occlusion at whatever date we need for performance. The primary objective of this would be that we do not need to load the caves unless you are inside them. This is a really cool performance trick that helps create larger levels without the need of a top-of-the-line computer to run it, because you know, if you have this huge level, but only the 10% or the 5% that you can visually see is actually loaded in, it does a bunch for performance. It's a really handy trick. Finally, we did some VFX works and created a particle system for cave fireflies. This was honestly done with a super simple particle system, but it goes a long way towards adding that little touch of ambience to caves. Small, constantly moving details in levels like this can really add to the immersion of environments within a game. So this will be one of hopefully many VFX particle systems in the game, but it's just the first one we did as we were delving into the creation of our cave systems first. But yeah, that really covers it for all the work we did this cycle. Overall, it's been super fun so far pushing forward with this space game. Our progress is steady, and we are continuing to having fun. We're continuing to have fun working on it, and it's really been a lot of fun. We're enjoying every step of it. As always, as we've mentioned in previous videos, you can keep up with us through our documentation and through these videos. We're gonna keep trying to release these as we move forward. Life's been really busy for a lot of us recently, so it's been hard to keep up with everything as much, but we really are gonna keep ticking away at this as best we can, and we're excited to see where it goes. If you feel like supporting us, we have a Patreon where you can get a lot of code from our coding videos, actually, and we plan to release this in some capacity on either itch or Patreon the further we get into this, so make sure you check those out. Support us if you feel so inclined and like what we're doing and want to see more. Either way, again, this is Dandy with KeySmash Studios. It's been a super fun time, and thank y'all for hanging out and seeing the progress on our game. Until next time, bye friends.